Okay, so in this video, I want to explore the masculine-feminine balance. And going into this, I want you to do a little exercise because I want you to know whether or not, in your mind, you're a chauvinist. And the area of chauvinism that I'm referring to is not the male-female bias, but something a little deeper. It's the masculine-feminine bias. And I say it's deeper and it's a little complex because any healthy man and woman has a mix and a good relationship, an equal relationship between his or her masculine energy and feminine energy, their masculine expression and their feminine expression. So in any duality, like masculine and feminine, when you look through that lens, things break into opposites. And as you break things into opposites within a paradigm, in this case, masculine, feminine, you kind of, okay, this one's masculine, this one's feminine. So, for example, someone's speaking, someone's listening. Which one is masculine, which one is feminine? Feminine is the receptive principle, the receptive expression in both men and women. So the listener is the feminine. So I'm going to outline a couple of kind of different things on this polarity, and you can see which one you think is masculine, which one is feminine. But what I also want you to notice is if you were seen in public expressing yourself in these ways, which one do you think is more valuable, and which one do you want to be, and how much do you want to be that one? And how ashamed or embarrassed would you be to be the other one? So, teacher, student, speaker, listener, giver, receiver, designer, person being designed, leader, follower. Let's just kind of leave it there. Assertiveness, receptivity, focused and diffuse, pointed, round, intellectual, emotional, strategic and efficient, present and spontaneous. So in this dynamic, if you've kind of been paying attention, you'll notice, first of all, in business, that masculine qualities are valued significantly higher than feminine qualities. I'm a great public speaker. I'm a great public listener. I'm really present and I show up for my people, or I get the job done. You get the point. So in our culture, masculine energy is valued gets like 70% of the value. Feminine energy gets 30% of the value. Now, the gap between men and women is not as much. Like, women typically get paid only 30% less than men because in our culture, women have successfully owned and captured so much of the masculine expression and principle, particularly in business. And so in some cases, the women are more masculine than the men. And in most areas, except, it turns out, in asking for raises, which is one of the biggest reasons men, even when the woman outperforms the man, gets more money because he goes in faster, more assertively, and more confidently, masculine, and says, hey, how about my raise? How am I doing? how are we doing, and expects to get it. Whereas the woman, statistically, in our current economy, will wait longer, be less certain, be less comfortable, and often not go in at all and say, how about my raise? She will wait, feminine. She will wait to be given the raise. And it's that, I want that raise, how about it? That is more effective in our culture at getting raises. So this is a little bit of background. And so here's the thing. I want to be engineering with you. So in any duality, let's take an outlet and a plug. So this is the plug, this is the outlet. You don't get strength, you don't get bond, you don't get electricity without a plug and an outlet. 2 plugs, it's minimal. 2 outlets, it's minimal. It's a plug and an outlet. Now, in the way it breaks down, the plug is masculine, the point. The outlet, the receptacle, is feminine, not male or female, feminine. You get electricity when you combine masculine and feminine energy. Now, you get the strongest current, the greatest magic, the greatest aliveness when the masculine and feminine are balanced, one, and flowing, connected. You get high, we're looking for flow here. So the amount of electricity that can flow through this configuration as opposed to this configuration or even this configuration, we're looking at about an 8-fold increase in chemistry, in flow. And so this is why balance in the masculine and feminine in any relationship is key. Hey, you want to go out and see a movie tonight? No. You got no flow. You just blocked it. The feminine is, yes, I would love to do that. And how about if we picked up a picnic on the way? Or I would love to do that. And I'm not available until 10 p.m. Do you want to catch a late show, or should we do it tomorrow? That's a little bit of both. But you've just got the pure yes to everything and anything, just pure unfocused feminine energy. And you've got the pure focus of, I want to do this at this time, in this way, right now. And when you've got focus and yes, you have magic. You have amazing chemistry. It's wonderful. And unfortunately, the only way we get balance in masculine and feminine energy is if they are rewarded equally. It's logical. So if being excited and innocent is honored with as much respect and value as being shrewd and tricky, that's often a dynamic. You'll have someone who's more naive, who's more innocent, who's more open, who gets excited. And often, people who are more shrewd and calculating will target these people to make them feel like shit. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have fallen for that, you idiot. Of course there's no movies this time of night. Of course, what weren't you thinking? So when you have and this is actually accepted in our culture, there's not the same reverse where the innocent and spontaneous says, yes, let's do something. And the shrewd person says, well, what? What would we do that would be fun? And the spontaneous feminine person says, oh, you stupid, you're so stupid. You can come up with tons of stuff. It doesn't play out that way. It's often the masculine picking on and demeaning the feminine in men or women. It doesn't matter. Older brothers often do this with their younger brothers. The teasing. It's this constant shaming of feminine energy. It really hurts, and it destroys all the trust, all the magic, all the love, all the current, all the flow in the relationship. And all you get is someone who's right, someone who's bossy, someone who needs to be assertive, and the other person who is no fun, but let them have their way and be right and all that. Everyone loses. Everyone loses when masculine, feminine energy is not in balance. It's not going to be in balance when it's put down, shamed, humiliated. Now, knowing that the culture is chauvinistic, from business to media to comedians to the whole thing, it's chauvinistic, meaning everyone's trying to compete to be the brilliant speaker, the one who came up with the idea, not the hardworking assistant to support that idea in being nurtured into reality. I gave birth to that son, as opposed to the one who's nurturing that son into manhood, into magnificence. So there's this competition. The values are not, the pay scale is not equal for masculine and feminine energy. This is ignorance. Stupidity, ignorance, it's destructive. It's really important to get how ignorant it is. We're looking for flow. Everyone wins when there's magic and flow. Everyone loses when there isn't. So often the competition, given that feminine energy is needed, like you have a plug and you have no outlet, you don't have electricity. You have 200 plugs and you have no outlet, you have no electricity. A plug is useless without electricity. A speaker is useless without a great listener. A leader is useless without followers. It's the quality of how they come together. So respect must be given clearly and consciously within your relationship to both roles. It's that simple. It is the most fundamental culture agreement and parameter of any relationship. If you want flow, now you can have two equally masculine, feminine people where they take turns. It's fine. You can have one very feminine person and very masculine person. You can change in different areas, like I always decide the restaurant and you're always excited about having a new experience, and you always pick the flowers and I'm always excited to see what flowers are in the house. You can change the area. I always spend the money when we go on vacation and do this. You spend the money when you buy food. It doesn't matter the areas, but you're looking for flow, you're looking for balanced flow on a very conscious, to heal the chauvinism, it often has to be very conscious level. So in looking at a breakdown, it's a breakdown in trust that one of the energies will be honored. Both energies have to be honored, by the way, the masculine and the feminine. That all the feelings will be honored, that the truth can be spoken, that's part of flow, and listened to. Truth is spoken, it's not listened to, there's no flow. There's no one holding the feminine pole. So this is key, really key. It's magical. And if you're a little bit lost around this, do a diagram and break down who do you think is feminine and masculine in what areas of your relationship. What's the quality of that? Because pure masculine energy is love, care, put into action and form. And pure feminine energy is delight, trust, wonder, openness, and yes to receiving and being shaped by that form. So in one of the archetypal masculine energy, masculine feminine dynamics, parent and child, newly born innocent child, everyone is born in a very feminine state. And the parents are both masculine in that particular polarity of child and parent. Child is innocent and receptive, the parent is masculine. Now, when the masculine loves, adores, protects, and cherishes the feminine, carefully choreographing forms that allow the feminine expression to grow and be enormous with joy, with love, with celebration. When the masculine understands its role to protect, support, guide, shape, adore, and love the feminine with form, and the feminine understands its role of opening and being loved, accepting, receiving, becoming, and filled with the gratitude and the joy to the masculine for being given a home, the essence, the body, the joy of the moment, the crafting of the experience. That's why in the traditional sense of a woman being more feminine and a man being more masculine, the man creating this date, inviting her coming and her opening up into that date, into the wonder with trust, with enthusiasm, with innocence, with joy. It's exquisite for both. And the masculine's greatest joy is to see the feminine light up in wonder, in timeless, non-lineal joy and transcendence. This is the masculine's greatest joy. Now, the trick is not to get lost in male and female, because a woman can invite the man's feminine into wonder and joy. Now, it's very vulnerable for particularly Western men to go into that wonder, that innocence, that naivete, that trust, and just see what's happening. It is so vulnerable because it's shamed, because it's abused, because it's bullied, because you take, the school, the high school experience, and any man who goes into that kind of joy and wonder, immediately teased, immediately made to feel like an absolute shit. And I'm not going to be caught in that state again. I am not going to go into that. I know what you're doing, and there's often even an aggressiveness. Don't you try and get me into that place, because I'm not going to be made to feel like a shit again. So you've got great vulnerability for the men and great power when a man can open into that place. So you've got this pattern that's unfolding. There's often this jockeying. Could you please be feminine so that I don't feel weak and bad and take on all the social judgments? So there's this jostling. But when you can understand that it takes great courage, great strength, and profoundly vulnerable and beautiful trust to give oneself. What it means is it's allowing you to shape me. I'm allowing myself to be recreated in the way that brings you pleasure. Because this is also the essence of the feminine. I will become what brings you joy, what catches your eye. And when I catch your eye, and when your full attention is on me, and when you can't think of anything to do but to shape and work with me in a way that brings out my beauty even more, when you do that, the magic, the beauty, the elegance of that is like nothing else on earth. And we're both equal partners in creating that flow. Now, the best use of masculine energy, which is often the starting point in our culture, the best use of masculine energy is to discern. Number one, can you find a partner able and willing to join you equally in the masculine-feminine dance? Now, I'm a very shamed American man, it's very painful to go into some of that feminine joy. So, I'm hurt there, I'm small there, I'm shamed there. So painful. So I know I need a leader. Like, I need a woman, or a man, but I need a woman who's more feminine than me, who's willing to cry, who's willing to show emotion on her face, who's willing to honor her own heart and mind, because she will give me the courage to follow. So we'll have flow if I can find someone. So I look for that. That's my first job. My masculine's job is to look for that. It's often a woman over 50 years old who's given up competing in the West to be the most masculine and has decided to be herself. It's a beautiful gift. So I have to look for that. And I look for that in a very strategic masculine way. I share bits of feelings and I share ideas, and I notice who gets honored in me. Do my feelings get honored, or do my thoughts? A lot of women in Western countries, oh, that's such an interesting point, Dane. And then there's those women that, wow, what does it feel like to be like that? Or, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Or, I care, oh, can I hold your hand as you're talking about that feeling? It's moving me. Ah, here's a woman who's honoring her feminine, and I can follow, and it can create so much flow. So finding the person who's willing to be feminine and the person who's willing to be masculine. Is someone willing to say, I have an idea. I want to do this. I'm great at that. I have an idea. I want to do this. No, not like that. I want to do it like this. I have this, this taste I'm imagining. And what I'm imagining is the way it's going to feel in your mouth. I know what you like. And I've got this new taste. And I've been fiddling around in the kitchen. And I'm going to kind of create it like this. And watching that expression open up on your face is so beautiful. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to prepare that for you. So this is the masculine. Now the masculine has to be honored. It's just as vulnerable as the feminine. Like, you idiot, that's not what I wanted. You never do anything right. It just shatters that vulnerability that needs to please, that needs to create and bring joy to the feminine. If the feminine is bored, that's where it's really painful. If you're working really hard and your woman, your partner, the feminine in that dynamic is bored or distracted or doesn't give the full attention, they're not there to receive the gift. So depending on where you are, you want to consciously look for those things. So a man who's attuned to this flow, or a masculine person who's attuned to this flow, and for example, a gay, lesbian, whatever relationship of same sex, you still need this flow. And so you're looking for the true masculine, which is just dedicated to loving and protecting the feminine. And you're looking for the true feminine, who is in joy and delight and gratitude and wonder. And this is why gratitude is such a powerful and attractive quality in the feminine. Wonder, full presence, I'm here. It's in the male-female sexual dynamic, you see that. It's the male working and paying attention to bring the woman to the absolute bliss of full, joyful, surrendered presence. When the man focuses on that goal, on that pleasure, his pleasure, to bring that and live empathically, to feel the place that a woman can go, the place that someone feminine can go who's receiving that is so beautiful that, for example, for me, I get probably 2/3 of my pleasure watching the ecstasy on my partner's face and knowing that she's allowing me to do that. She's allowing me to take her to that state. There's nothing quite like it. It heals so many deep wounds in the rift, in the shame of masculine and feminine energy. So you look for that. You look for that quality. You coach each other. Use the masculine. Use the best of the masculine, male or female, to coach each other into winning. Like, you're bored and unresponsive to what I'm saying. So I either need to find another person who's a really great yes, or you need to tell me what you're a really great yes to. What's it going to be? Okay, we're not going to flow, so we're going to flow over here. But I'm committed. I think it begins with each person I'm committed to flow bigger than the relationship. I want to flow with you as much as possible, but I am committed to flow bigger than the relationship. I'm going to take responsibility for flow. If you can't handle that, i.e. you won't give me the flow, you won't assert and or receive in a way that creates flow with me, you won't coach and be coached to succeed in that, and you don't want me going outside the relationship, that's a relationship that needs to end. It's based on fear. It can't grow. But doing that gently, like that can be a dance, like that can be the friction point. Like, I'm afraid of failing, I'm afraid of being feminine, but I'm even more afraid of losing you. Okay, well, you will lose me if we can't flow. So let's create flow. Let's deepen it. Let's really go for it, and let's coach each other in that process. So being willing to, that's masculine. So let's coach. Let's be coached. Let's say, no, that didn't do it for me like this. But also open up. Learn, what can work. Take responsibility. See where's the imbalance. Are two people trying to talk and no one's listening? It means the relationship needs to end, if that's, the status quo, and both people are committed to that position. Or one person, like if one person needs to open up, or both need to bring in more feminine energy. You won't get the magic without that happening. Now, this is way more fundamental than age. It's way more fundamental than, they have the right stuff. It's more fundamental than body. You don't get sex without flow either. Even if you have two, wildly masculine people basically wrestling, you often bypass the magic. You can wrestle each other or dominate each other into submission and just kind of take turns pounding away in the masculine. It's exhausting. Ultimately, it's exhausting. Or you can have someone choose to provide the gift of that feminine energy that's so exquisite, so tender and nuanced, that with almost no touch at all, it's just taking you into that wonder. Every touch allows that. And there's so much bandwidth, there's so much flow, that it's magic. You don't need to spend energy at all, and you can spend hours exploring that domain. And it's sacred, and it's healing. And this is where we open up, and relationship becomes a portal to sacred energy, to divine energy. It's in that wonder that's so big, the synergy of the masculine and feminine, so big that the only words that make sense for describing that experience are God, our goddess, are something bigger than us. Because that third energy, the third energy of flow, something much bigger than the plug, much bigger than the outlet, the electricity, it's flowing. I I hope I've supported you in connecting with that flow a little bit more. And thank you for the honor of being able to guide and share my experience of this terrain. It's a true honor.